Over the years, we have seen numerous practices of mass, preposterous discrimination. Of course, there were noble individuals who decided to take a stand against such vile practices and indeed abolish them at the time. But such hazardous operations still exist in different forms, but in equal murderous measures and quantity.
Gender discrimination has been embedded in various cultures throughout human history. The first vocal act towards gender inequality was seen through the suffrage movement, a fight that went on for almost 100 years of women's rights to vote in the United States. It gave rise to more awareness about the prejudices faced by many genders and nationalities. Nevertheless, the biggest gender awareness act that spread was the Stonewall riots in 1969, a series of protests by members of the LGBTQ community. It gave a significant rise and a proper platform for the LGBTQ community to vocalize themselves.
Around 1500 BC, during the Vedic period in India, women were treated like deities. Education and respect for women were put to the utmost priority, and they were the goddesses of the household. The Vedas preach of women and their sacrifices and called them the blessing of God. They were allowed to organize a Swayamvar, Swayam meaning one's own self and Var meaning husband. It was an event where a woman chose a husband among a group of suitors.
The same could have been said for the LGBTQ community during this time. They were called the third sex and were believed to be beings of higher faith and karma, and weren't denied rights. The third gender is also mentioned as part of the Ramayana, one of the most famous Indian epics, precisely when Lord Ram was exiled from his kingdom. He asked all the men and women to wipe their tears and leave, when everyone left, except the third gender that were present there. They did not leave until Lord Ram completed 14 years of exile and were praised for their persistence. Moreover, in ancient India, they were known for the ability to bless and were considered and sought for their blessings for various auspicious and religious ceremonies. Fast forwarding to the 21st century, women working full-time in the United States are paid 83% of what men earn. We have seen years of unrest for all kinds of people to have their voices heard. All types of religion, all kinds of people, all kinds of sexuality, all fighting for equality. When the British took over the Indian government, they banned everything they believed impure and dirty, and set similar rules based on the same. This included the creation of Section 377, stating that every unnatural offense was illegal, calling it against the law of nature. Section 377 was a key that justified maltreating and punishing the non-binary community. This was announced unconstitutional only in 2018. In-depth research on all forms of violence against women was conducted by the UN Secretary General in 2006, and it concluded that violence against women is not restricted to a specific culture, region, or country, or particular categories of women within a society. At least 1 in 3 women experience violence at some point in their lives, according to the study that was presented to the UN's Third Committee. Not just among Muslims, gender-based violence and discrimination are pervasive problems.
After a meticulous survey conducted by our team, we discovered what others thought of gender discrimination in various cultures. Almost a maximum age of individuals who filled the survey was between the ages of 30 and 45. The second major range was 10 to 18. The bulk who filled the forms were men, and also the most occupation we received were that of engineers. The seniority of our surveyors were Indian, with over 34% people scattered everywhere around the globe.
When asked which various cultures is one thing have the 4 most obvious gender discrimination in them, the general public chose Islam 54%, followed by Hinduism 40.6%. Nearly 50% of our participants chose that gender discrimination was not justifiable, and almost 130 people have chosen depression in citizens, women, and LGBTQ precisely of the foremost repercussions of gender discrimination, followed by conflicts between families.
What is your occupation?
Teacher.
Do you support LGBTQ community?
I think that's a little controversial question because being in India and see if you look at people from the religious mind of side, because as per the religious books it's a sin what they talk about it, but looking at the current scenario, I don't think there is a harm in people having that kind of relations.
Do the women in your house have any restrictions? Have
No.
any rules to follow when they have their periods?
Nothing.
What do you feel about women working? And where all should they be working? Are there any specific sectors?
I don't see this question valid. Why? Because as men, when you have an education, I think it's their right to choose any sector they want to work with. Because if they have an education and they don't want to explore ahead, then what's the purpose of that education? Don't you think that would be a waste of time and money? So once, whether it's a girl child or a boy, a male child, they have all the rights to take their path.
Okay, one last question. Do you think gay marriage should be legalized in India?
That's a big question. I will not be able to answer that because everything is political things here. So giving a yes or no will actually not serve the purpose. So I think I choose not to say anything about that.
What is your occupation?
I'm a teacher and a coordinator. Okay, so I'm being with the learners, looking into their academic things. So I'm enjoying it.
Do you know what LGBTQ means?
Yes, I know about it.
If yes, what are your views about that subject?
We need to respect each and every human being and their needs. So I think so. Every person need to be aware of this fact, and there should be a lot of awareness, because I think so there are many percentage of people they don't know about it. So I feel there should be more of awareness program through media or from the school, from colleges, maybe in corporates. So there should be more of awareness program. Okay.
When you get your periods, are there any rules or any restrictions that you come against at home?
No, not in my family, no. Okay, but I can see there are some families, there are restrictions. It's still happening, it's still going on, which I feel that it should not be. Okay.
What do you feel about women working?
Women should work in every sector of the group. Okay, whether she can become a pilot or maybe auto driving, everything. She can work everywhere. She can be all over.
Okay.
आपकी पेशा क्या है, यानी कि आपकी नौकरी?
मैं स्कूल में जॉब करती हूँ और स्कूल में यानी हाउसकीपिंग का करती हूँ। मैं होम मारना, बच्चों को टेबल साफ करना, बच्चे लोग जा रहे हैं और बच्चे लोग जब घर पे रहते हैं तो क्लास क्लीन करना, अपना टेबल चेयर सब होम मारना, वो सब मैं करती हूँ।
क्या आपको LGBTQ का अर्थ मालूम है? मतलब आजकल के समाज में जैसे लड़का लड़का एक साथ रहते हैं, लड़की लड़की, आपको इसका अर्थ पता है?
एक्चुअली उन लोगों का फ्रेंड लोग का जैसा उन लोग को जो अच्छा लगता है उन लोग फ्रेंड में से उन लोग रह सकते हैं। ऐसा लड़का लड़के से फ्रेंडशिप कर सकता है, मगर वो उसके साथ टाइम पे अच्छे से बात कर सकता है, उससे बात करने से को अच्छा लगता रहेगा तो फ्रेंडशिप अच्छी है।
लेकिन रिलेशनशिप वाइज मतलब जैसे आजकल
हाँ,
शादी और वो सब भी होते हैं।
अभी उन लोग की लाइफ है, उन लोग को जैसा चाहिए, उन लोग समाज एक्चुअली मन ये नहीं करेगा।
क्या आप उनको सपोर्ट करते हो?
और अभी उन लोग की पसंद है, इसलिए अभी उन लोग रह सकते हैं साथ में।
जब आपको पीरियड आते हैं तो आपके घर में कोई ऐसे भेदभाव होता है कि आप घर में कुछ सामान को हाथ नहीं लगा सकते हो?
एक्चुअली हमारे घर में तो नहीं होता है। एक्चुअली हमारे घर में एक्चुअली भगवान को हाथ नहीं लगाना, और खाना या कुछ ये देगा तो हम लोग वो जो मसाले वसाले को हाथ नहीं लगाते हो, और कभी रहेंगे कभी। तो हमारे जो बाजू में जो रहते हैं आदमी उन लोग रहते हैं, वो लोग 5 दिन तक उन लोग हस्बैंड जो आदमी रहता है, औरत होएगी ना तो वो लोग आदमी लोग खाना बनाते हैं 5 दिन तक। मतलब उतना 5 दिन औरत को रेस्ट मिलता है।
आपके हिसाब से क्या है कि औरत को काम पर जाना चाहिए कि नहीं?
काम पे जाना चाहिए।
जाना चाहिए। तो क्या नौकरी करनी चाहिए औरतों को, कि जैसे टीचर बनना, डॉक्टर?
टीचर बनना एक्चुअली पढ़ाई उसमें तो मेन बेटर है। हमारी पढ़ाई नहीं हुई करके हम लोग आज ये काम कर रहे हैं, मगर उसमें हम लोग खुशी है। जो भी काम करते हैं बच्चे लोग के चेहरे पे हम लोग देख के हम लोग को अच्छा लगता है। पूरा टाइम हम लोग खुशी से बिताते हैं स्कूल में।
आपके इलाके में कितने औरत काम पर जाते हैं?
हमारे यहाँ पे सब लेडीज़ झाड़ू पोछा, बर्तन घसने, कोई ऑफिस में सब लोग जाते हैं।
आपने आपकी पढ़ाई क्यों बंद कर दी?
एक्चुअली मेरी पढ़ाई मेरी मम्मी पिता, हम लोग 4 बहन लोग थे, तो मेरे बहन लोगों को मुझे संभालने का था। तो इसलिए मम्मी ने मेरी वो टाइम पे ऐसा था कि लड़की लोग की जल्दी शादी करके विदा कर दी। तो इसलिए मेरी मम्मी ने मेरे पीछे में बड़ी थी करके मेरी शादी 15 साल में ही कर दी। और मेरी शादी होने के बाद मेरे पीछे मेरे 3 बहनों की भी शादी हुई। तो ऐसा करके हमारा जल्दी ये हो गया।
The issue is people tend to imply others' identities on their own. If you're a CEO, that's your identity. If you're gay, that's your identity. All the matters occurring in life makes people forget about everyone's actual identity. A human with a name. If Earth breathed with this belief, it would have been flat. The fact that difference is confused with abnormality is probably the main cause of discrimination. Equality is not about how we're similar, but about accepting how we're different.